I'm Jarita Malik, Assistant Professor, SMC College of Dairy Science, Anand. We will be seeing paper 13, Food Additives, module number 29, that is Development in Enzyme Technology and Manufacturing Enzyme Modified Cheese Ingredients. So, in this module, we will see some different processes that are applied for modification of enzyme technology. We already know that how enzymes are useful as a biocatalyst. The chemical catalysts are very commonly used in chemical industry to get different catalytic reactions. Enzymes are also catalysts, but they are biological catalysts which are metabolically very important for our body functions, for all living organisms definitely. And these enzymes, when applied in the food industry, can produce miracle food products. So, we have seen application of these enzymes in bakery industries, in dairying, in manufacturing of fruit juices and whatnot. Now, let us see some of the processes like genetic engineering, how these processes can actually modify these enzymes and give us certain good enzymes which will give products which are desirable in nature, lower in cost and improve the processes with lesser requirement of certain things and definitely environmental friendly. We will also see some of the enzyme modified food ingredients like enzyme modified starches, enzyme modified proteins, enzyme modified cheeses, even enzyme modified egg yolk. How this will be useful? As for example, if I heat egg yolk, it is going to get coagulated. So, when egg based products are heat treated, we know the activity or emulsifying activity of the egg yolk is reduced. Using these enzyme modified end ingredients, the production can be improved to a great extent and we can get newer good products. Now let us start talking about enzymes. As we all know, enzyme is a biocatalyst and it is very important for our metabolic activities. All living creatures need enzymes for all kinds of metabolic activities in their body. So, we can say enzymes catalyze chemical reactions with great specificity and rate enhancements. For many thousands of years, man has used naturally occurring microorganisms like bacteria, yeasts and molds and the enzymes they produce to make foods such as bread, cheese, beer and wine. Like for example, we know very well that in bread making, amylase is the enzyme used to break down flour into soluble sugars which are then transformed by yeast into alcohol and carbon dioxide, and this makes the bread rise. So, we can say enzymes forms the basis of metabolism of all living organisms and they provide tremendous opportunities for industry as well to carry out many elegant, efficient and economical biocatalytic conversions. So, enzymes are used for an increasing rate of applications in the bakery, cheese making, starch processing and production of fruit juices as well as other drinks. Enzyme technology is an interdisciplinary field recognized by the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, that is called OECD in short, as an important component of sustainable industrial development. And we can say its application ranges from straightforward industrial processes to pharmaceutical discovery and development. Now let us discuss about advantages of enzymes in food production. Why you want to use enzymes? That is the question. Now, in food production, they are welcomed as alternatives to traditional chemical based technology and they can replace synthetic chemicals in many processes. And we can see many advantages out of this, and because they provide real advances in environmental performance of production processes through lowering of energy consumption as well as they are biodegradable. Another advantage is they are more specific in action than synthetic chemicals. As a result, there are fewer side reactions and waste byproducts which gives higher quality products and reduces the likelihood of pollution. So, again, if we want to look forward for a better environmental control systems, we will use enzymes in place of synthetic catalysts. Another advantage we can say It allows some processes to be carried out which would otherwise be impossible. An example we can see is the production of clear apple juice concentrate, which relies mainly on the use of enzyme pectinase. Without pectinase, we can never expect that our apple juice concentrate will be as clear as we see it in the market today. Now we will see some uses of enzymes in the food production. So if you take different fields of food production, we will start with dairying. The enzymes used, very commonly used, we know it is rennet, which is commercially known as rennet, and it is rennin enzyme, actually a protease. It is used for coagulation in cheese production, a very important enzyme without which we cannot get a real good cheese. Lactase is used for hydrolysis of lactose to give lactose free milk products, especially for those who are intolerant to lactose and cannot drink milk because of presence of lactose. Proteases are also used again sometimes for hydrolysis of whey proteins in the place where we need hydrolyzed whey proteins. Even catalases are used. It is specially used for removal of hydrogen peroxide. As for example, in UHT milk products as well as other such products where the packaging materials are treated with hydrogen peroxide, the residues of hydrogen peroxide should not be present in the food product. So, in these cases, catalases sometimes may be useful for production of products with higher quality and removing such traces of hydrogen peroxide. Now, in the brewing industry, enzymes like cellulases, beta glucanases, alpha amylases, proteases as well as maltogenic amylases are used for various purposes like liquefaction, clarification and also to supplement malt enzymes. In the field of alcohol production, amyloglucosidase is used for conversion of starch to sugar. So, this helps in alcohol production in a large quantity in the commercial process. Again, enzymes are very commonly used in the baking industry, where we can find enzymes like amylases which are highly used, alpha amylases used in breakdown of starches and as well as for maltose production. Amyloglucosidases are used in the process of saccharification. Maltogen amylase, which is called as Novamyl commercially, they delay process of bread staling. So, a newer technology, a newer enzyme which can keep our bread for a longer period without getting stale. Proteases are again used for breakdown of proteins in the bakery products. Pentosanases are used for breakdown of pentosans, leading to reduced gluten production. Again, we can see its applicability in specialized products where we need reduced gluten content or gluten free products for certain individuals who cannot tolerate gluten and they form allergies to gluten, a disease called celiac disease. Glucose oxidase is another important enzyme used in bakery industry for stabilization of dough for production of various bakery products. Continuing with the uses of enzymes, again in the field of wine and fruit juices, pectinases are very commonly used. They are used for definitely getting clear juices, that is for juice clarification and also for increasing the yield of juices. Because if we get clarified juices and the pectin is clearing the juice, we need not remove those residues. Thus, we get more yield. Glucose oxidase is again used for oxygen removal. There are other enzymes which are used like beta glucanases with similar purposes. Again, pectinase and glucose oxidase are very important in this industry, which gives better products and improved yield of the products. In the meat industry, meat requires to be very tender. A chewy meat is definitely not desired. So, proteases and pepin are the important enzymes used in tenderizing of meat. In the protein sector, proteases, trypsin, aminopeptidases are very important proteases which are used for breakdown of various components, especially if you want to remove bitterness formed by bitter peptides. Such kind of proteinases can be of great help. For starch modifications, alpha amylases, glucoamylases, hemicellulases, maltogenic amylases and glucose isomerases are used very frequently for modification and conversions. Example, from different sugars to dextrose or a product like high fructose syrups. Inulin can be used for production of fructose syrups by use of inulases, which breaks inulin to produce fructose syrups. So, after understanding the mechanism of enzyme, how it works, we already know that enzymes are useful in many sectors in the market for production of various commercial products, to get different modifications in the products and also to get quality products with yield improvement. Now, let us see some improvements in the enzyme processes. So, before we start these processes, we should understand the goals for new or improved enzyme processes. So, the first goal we can envisage is definitely because we want to reduce the cost of production. How we can reduce the cost? So, one thing is by increasing yield. Second, the biocatalyst can be reused. For example, if you are reusing the enzyme in another process, the cost of enzyme usage can be reduced. And also it increases productivity by a process called immobilization. Example, glucose isomerization is immobilized and can be used again and again for various processes with lesser enzyme wastage. Also, we can reduce the cost by better utilization of raw materials. Again, reduction of process cost for filtration, energy, desizing of fibers, cheese ripening, malting in beer production, because enzyme does this work very efficiently within the process itself and in the process without input of any other excess energy. Hence, such enzyme usage with improved or modified forms can actually give us better output, and thus reduction of residence time in starch processing is one of the very important example where we can see cost reduction because of use of improved enzymes. Another goal, or we can say another importance why we want to get improved enzyme processes is we want to get improvement of biological properties as well as quality of the enzyme. Example is racemate resolution, where the isomers with a specific biological property can be used and can enhance our properties and quality of the final product. Also, it can improve preservation of foods, example in juice concentrates. Another is improvement of technical properties like protein modification, flour for baking, trans-esterification of vegetable oils, etc. So, we can get modified products and thus improved properties and quality of the product is obtained. Another use can be of the improved enzymes is in improvement of taste, which is very important as far as food industry is concerned. So, improved taste, example sweetness can be enhanced by use of enzymes which can break your saccharides to a smaller components which are seated in taste. Example, glucose isomerization to get glucose fructose syrup, which is more sweet in taste. Another application we can see for new or improved enzyme processes is in the utilization of new regenerable sources of raw materials. Okay, so sometimes we see many waste products or byproducts coming out of our food which can actually cause environmental issues and needs to be processed before they are sent into the environment, which is again energy intensive and also can be polluting to the environment. Again, certain byproducts like whey are nutritionally very rich, and if they can be used and they can be resourced into some good quality products can be of great use. So, utilization of waste from food industry as well as in the wood industry like whey, filter cakes with starch and protein from vegetable oil production, cellulose, etc. can be a means where we can see the usage of such new or improved enzyme processes. A very good example are drinks that we obtain from whey. Another applicability or goal we envisage is reduction of environmental impact. So, all the points justify this point at last. It is reducing non-recyclable waste So by means of waste recycling. So as we are utilizing whey for drinks, so lesser whey, lesser load to effluent treatment plants, which is biodegradable but definitely increases the biological oxygen demand as well as chemical oxygen demand when it is thrown into the environment directly. So utilization of whey, which is a very nutritive product, can be of great help if enzyme modification can help us gaining this final end product. Now let us see some advances in enzyme technology. Biotechnology, as we all know, and now it's, we can say, an era of biotechnology. So it offers an increasing potential for the production of goods to meet various human needs. In enzyme technology, a subfield of biotechnology, new processes have been and are being developed to manufacture both bulk and high added value products utilizing enzymes as biocatalysts, which is used in order to meet needs such as food manufacturing, example in breads, cheese making, beer making, vinegar production, etc. For biochemicals, example amino acid production, vitamin production, etc. and as well as, and obviously we can say it can be used in pharmaceuticals. Enzymes are also used to provide services as in washing and environmental processes or for analytical and diagnostic purposes. The goal of these biological or biotechnological approaches is to design innovative products and processes that are not only competitive but also meet criteria of sustainability. So even in washing powders we see the application of enzyme technology. So that is because of this biotechnological intervention which has modified enzyme to such an extent that not only in food products or any other products, it can be used in products like washing powder to improve the cleaning processes with a definite lesser wastage of powder material. Since early 1980s, companies which produce enzymes have been also using genetic engineering. So we cannot say that genetic engineering is new now. It is quite an old technology, but still it is coming up and we are seeing new products every day in this field. And it is very much useful technique to improve production efficiency and quality and to develop new products. There are definite clear advantages for both industry and consumers with major improvements in enzyme production giving better products and processes. However, the progress is being slowed down because we always see debates going on in these products. We say genetically modified, so people feel that there might be some problem with the final product. Is it hazardous or is it a product which can be consumed directly or not? So the debate will proceed and becomes controversial sometimes for the applications of these technological fields. So genetic engineering in animals and plants is continue and will continue, but we will still find many new products which we get because of genetic engineering processes. Also, as we discussed that we have genetic engineering in biotechnology which can give many advances in enzymatic production technology. So we see that it can give us a range of advances like improved productivity and cost effectiveness in existing processes by producing enzymes more efficiently, and the amount of raw materials, energy and water needed to make a product can be reduced by as much as one half by changing from a traditional strain of microbe to a genetically modified one. Companies can also tailor-make their enzymes more precisely to consumer demands for products with specific properties. Manufacturers can also supply enzymes which otherwise could not be produced in large enough quantities, giving the consumer access to a wider variety of products. An example is the amylase-based product which makes bread stay fresh for longer periods. So we can see a wide usage of these improved enzyme processes, and this can be achieved through genetic engineering, and we cannot deny the fact, even though there may be controversies, that genetic engineering can do miracles for new product developments. Let us see now the biocatalysts, how they function in non-aqueous medium, because media becomes a very important component when we want to get certain biocatalytic activities. Water is a very good medium in it. but we can also use certain other mediums like organic solvents, supercritical fluids, which are nowadays being tried out for many enzyme activity, even ionic liquids as well as fluorous solvents in product isolation following biocatalysis is also an important application which we see now onwards. Now, the major advantage of biocatalysis is the use of water as a reaction medium owing to the low cost and waste associated with these environmentally friendly processes. Water is, we know, non-toxic, it is not flammable, odorless and colorless, widely available and inexpensive as we said earlier, and is also well suited for biphasic catalysis. However, in some instances, use of water as solvent is also a chief limitation of biocatalysis, as many of the biocatalytic substrates are poor water soluble and product extraction may prove to be very difficult. Examples are dehydration reactions such as esterifications do not proceed in an aqueous medium. Also, side reactions such as hydrolysis, polymerization or racemization can occur, leading to product mixtures. So, let us see the feasibility of using organic solvents as a biocatalysis non-aqueous media. Now, replacement of an aqueous medium with an organic medium would seem challenging in light of the conventional view that enzymes other than proteins obviously are denatured in organic solvents. So, if they lose their native structure and thus their catalytic activity, we cannot see that these organic solvents could be of great use as a media for our biocatalytic reactions. However, studies over the past few years have established firmly that many enzymes can work in organic solvents containing little or no water, and the employment of organic solvents as a reaction medium has also been reviewed in detail. Biocatalytic solvents systems commonly include monophasic aqueous organic mixtures, biphasic aqueous organic mixtures, and enzymes suspended in pure organic solvents. So, these biocatalytic solvents can actually replace our water as a medium and can be used in mixture with water for getting better output and definitely alleviating the disadvantages of using water alone as an aqueous medium. Another media is the supercritical fluids. In recent years, enzyme catalyzed processes have been explored in novel media such as supercritical fluids as well as ionic liquids. A supercritical fluid is defined as the physical state of a compound or element above its critical temperature and critical pressure, but below the pressure required to condense it to a solid. Most commonly used supercritical carbon dioxide, which is well known to us, other supercritical fluids including freons, hydrocarbons including ethane, ethene or propane, or even inorganic compounds have also been reported as media for biocatalysis. Talking about ionic liquids, the employment of ionic liquids for biocatalytic reactions have received a lot of attention in the literature in the last decade and has been recently reviewed in great detail. Ionic liquids are organic salts which are liquids at room temperature. Ionic liquids possesses unique properties because they are non-volatile or flammable and they possess excellent chemical and thermal stability. Further, they have been described as environmentally benign, which make them an attractive alternative to traditional organic solvents. So, ionic liquids have been reported to also improve activity, selectivity and stability of enzymes like lipases, oxidoreductases, peroxidases, etc. Now, fluorous solvents in product isolation following biocatalysis. An interesting application of solvents for biocatalysis was developed in the year 2002 by Thiel and his co-workers. Initially, lipase mediated kinetic resolution of a range of alcohols with fluorous esters was performed, and repeated washing with the fluorous solvent removed the transformed ester in high enantiomer purity with the untransformed alcohol remaining in the organic phase and also in excellent enantiomer purity condition. This methodology was adapted to lipase mediated hydrolysis of highly fluorinated esters with similar results. Combination of the kinetic resolution by enzymatic deacylation with fluorous triphasic reaction and subsequent separation yielded the enantiomeric alcohols in excellent enantioperities as well as good yields. We will see some of the important processes which are used in modification of enzymes. Now we have already seen the importance of usage of enzymes in many food products. So amylases in breads or in many liquid products where enzymes are actually added. But the problem is that these enzymes cannot be reused. So if you are not able to reuse it, the cost of production is increased. Another thing is, we know our enzymes are highly specific. They are also highly specific to their optimum pH and temperature. So to get certain improvement in enzymes, we have to use some modification, and modification like enzyme immobilization has given a new improved technique where the enzyme is actually made stabilized in a inert media and which can be inserted during the process and can be removed after the process is over. This enzyme immobilization can be actually used to improve the specificity of the enzyme. Also it can be used where the enzymes becomes lesser sensitive to pH and temperatures of the medium. We also have other processes like cross-linked enzyme aggregates, which are again better than, we sometimes say, better than enzyme immobilization, because this enzyme, for enzyme immobilization, the support used are sometimes expensive, while your cross-linked enzyme aggregates becomes cheaper comparatively. Process called enzyme immobilization has been recently very much used in many food processing industry where enzymes are applied very frequently. So an immobilized enzyme is an enzyme that is attached to an inert insoluble material such as calcium alginate, which is produced by reacting a mixture of sodium alginate solution and enzyme solution with calcium chloride. This reaction can provide increased resistance to changes in conditions such as pH or temperature. So it becomes especially important because we know that our enzymes are highly specific and also they are highly sensitive to pH and temperatures. A variation, a mild variation or a little variation in pH or in the temperature can reduce the activity of the enzymes to a very high rate if we are shifting away from the optimum pH or temperature condition for that specific enzyme. So in such cases, immobilization of enzyme can definitely be of great help. It also allows enzymes to be held in place throughout the reaction, following which they are easily separated from the products and may be used again, a far more efficient process, and so is widely used in industry for enzyme catalyzed reactions. The advantages of enzyme immobilization, we can see it allows facile recycling and repeated reuse of the biocatalyst in the batch operations. Definitely it is an important application of enzyme immobilization. Also it facilitates the recovery and reuse of costly enzyme, facile handling of the enzyme and easier product recovery. It improves enzyme performance and increases pH and temperature stability of the enzyme. It also increases to several hundred folds the enzyme activity in organic solvents, which is very important application definitely, and a great advantage can be obtained. And modification of enzyme substrate selectivity can be done by using of this enzyme immobilization process. Now let us discuss the process of enzyme immobilization. We can use 4 different types of strategies for immobilization of the enzyme. We can see the figure in which all the 4 strategies are described and diagrammatically shown. A is by means of entrapment. So the enzyme can be entrapped in the inert material, so it does not shift now. So when we dip it into the medium, the enzyme is not going into the medium. After the activity is over, we can remove this whole thing, inert material out of it, and the same enzyme with the same retained activity can be reused again. In the diagram, B shows encapsulation process, where the enzymes can be encapsulated and then can be added into the production process. C shows solid support. So, the enzymes are again attached to a solid support, and this solid support can be again inserted and taken out whenever the process is over. And another strategy, that is the fourth strategy, that is by enzyme cross linking into certain substrate and which can be reused again and again. So, as we see, immobilization as an important process and has actually changed the scenario of enzyme utilization and reduced the cost of enzyme utilization in the enzyme related catalyzed reaction industries. Another process in the same area we can see is cross-linked enzyme aggregates. In recent years, carrier bound cross-linked enzyme aggregates have attracted increasing attention due to their simplicity, broad applicability, high stability and high volume activity. Studies in the early 1960s led to the discovery that cross-linking of dissolved enzymes via reaction of surface amino groups with a chemical cross-linker such as glutaraldehyde resulted in the formation of insoluble cross-linked enzyme. Carrier-free immobilized enzymes are generally prepared by cross-linked enzyme, and preparations such as crystalline, spray-dried, dissolved or physically aggregated enzymes results into such kind of products. Cross-linked enzyme aggregates have received increased attention in the recent years because the facile preparation, they are cheaper alternative to expensive supports. As we use in immobilization of enzyme, the supports are sometimes very expensive, which can actually definitely increase the cost of immobilization process. Even though if we have many production batches, the total cost can be reduced, but the support itself is expensive. So, cross-linked enzyme aggregates, which is called as CLEAS process, can be a cheaper alternative to these expensive supports, and they also achieve higher volumetric activities, that is 10 to 1000 units per gram times higher than a normal enzyme process. So, carrier bound enzymes can be lesser effective as compared to our cross-linked enzyme aggregates, and this can be beneficially applied. Enzymes which have been successfully immobilized using cross-linking enzyme methodology includes horseradish peroxidase, lipases, nitrilases and esterases. In this slide, we can see the diagram which describes the process of cross-linking enzyme aggregates. Here again we can see 4 different methods for getting cross-linked enzyme aggregates. First is A, that is crystallization. So, by means of crystallization of these enzymes, we can get a very good cross-linked enzyme aggregate which can be used. Second is the process of aggregation itself. Spray drying is an excellent process of getting enzyme agglomerates. So, a process of spray drying where agglomeration is taking place can give you good enzyme aggregates. And finally, the fourth process is a direct cross-linking process by using a cross-linker. Now, let us see genetic engineering of enzymes. Now, genetic engineering of the enzyme is required to alter the stereoselectivity, substrate scope and also to improve the enzyme activity. During early 1990s, it saw the development of new approaches to the enzyme optimization technologies, the methods in which emergence of gene library generation via DNA shuffling and PCR techniques were seen. The two principles and the two main processes we can say routinely that are used to achieve this are rational design as well as directed evaluation. We will see them in the next slide, how these processes are used to get genetically modified enzymes. So, you can see in this diagram both the processes, that is by rational protein designs and directed evolution, how we can get improved enzymes or we can say genetically modified enzymes for specific purposes. In rational protein design, mutants are planned on the basis of their protein structure. They are prepared by site directed mutagenesis following transformation into the host expressing organisms like Escherichia coli and the variant is expressed, purified and analyzed for the desired trait. Some specific examples include the employment of rational design to increase the stability of enzymes by the introduction of proline residues, disulfide bonds or mutation towards the consensus for a given enzyme family. Rational design has also been employed to alter cofactor specificity and modify enzyme specificity by a redesign of the substrate binding site or changing the position of a charged residue to favor transformation of one substrate over another. Unlike directed evolution, improvements or inversion of enantioselectivity selectivity are rarely reported by groups examining protein engineering through rational design. However, directed evolution is employed to improve the stability and enzymatic functions of enzymes by repeated rounds of mutations and selection, and thus this method has also been thoroughly reviewed in the literature. Directed evolution commences with a parent protein and random mutagenesis of this protein. The parent gene is subjected to a number of random point mutations to produce a library of mutants. So, we can see in the figure library of mutated genes are obtained. The proteins encoded by these mutant genes are then produced and screened for the desired function, and the proteins are used then as parents for another round. The beneficial mutations are collected until the desired outcome is achieved or no other improvements are practically feasible. So, this methodology requires careful experimental design. For a protein that is composed of 350 amino acids, about 220,400 possible sequences exist. Both rational protein and directed evolution techniques are important, and we can get improved mutant enzymes with desirable gene characteristics which can be very much useful depending on the substrate range, their kinetic stability, enantioselectivity selectivity, and their sequences of genes are important in getting specific desired properties in our end product. Now, let us see some examples of marketed enzymes produced using gene technology. The principal enzyme activity, which includes alpha acetolactate decarboxylase, is applied in brewing, alpha amylase in baking, brewing, distilling, starch industries, catalase for manufacture of mayonnaise, chymosin is commonly and definitely we know is used for cheese making, beta glucanase in again brewing, alpha gluconotransferase in starch, glucose isomerase in starch again, glucose oxidase in baking and egg mayonnaise production, and hemicellulose is also very commonly used in the baking industry. Next slide. So, continuing with the marketed enzymes, and the principal enzymes lipase are highly applied for modification of fats and oils to get specific chains of fatty acids to get desired fatty acids, which can have many beneficial usage like health benefits. Then maltogenic amylase are used in baking and starch manufacturing, microbial rennet again in the dairy industry, and we see cheese as a potent user for this microbial rennet, phytase in starch again, proteases in baking, brewing, dairy, distilling, fish, meat, starch and vegetables, pullulanases in brewing and starch, and xylanases in baking and starch again. Now, let us talk something on enzyme modified foods. So, we have seen that enzymes have a wide range of application, not just as an ingredient in food, but also in the modification of other components. And their applications vary from mild food preservation to development of products with low glycemic index and a satiating action. So, this can be very well used for foods which are specifically designed for diabetic or persons suffering from heart ailments. Reformulation of traditional food systems to introduce new ingredients may change their structure and perceived texture. Such products result from interaction between different components. The development of protein-enriched products has focused the attention of food technologists when aimed at the design of innovative food with improved nutritional properties. Interactions between proteins and starch during processing can markedly influence starch gel network structure and also the rheological profile. Enzyme modification of food ingredients, especially proteins and starch, can lead to formation of various new products with improved nutritional and functional properties and texture characteristics. This can be applied to remove odor, flavor, toxic or anti-nutritive components. One very good example is alpha glucose additive of stevia, glucosyl transferase treated stevia, which is enzymatically modified stevia, which gives improved taste quality and is widely used in Japan. So, such improvement actually can improve the product quality, because sometimes use of such additives like stevia, which is a artificial sweetener, which can be a low calorie sweetener, can be very much useful for diabetic people, but can cause some off flavor problems in foods, can be alleviated by using such kind of enzyme modified stevia, and we can get good quality end products. Now let us talk something about enzyme modified starches. Modified food starch is a cornstarch that has been processed either chemically or with enzymes to give it desired properties like withstanding heat and acidity, retaining water, or even gelling in cold solutions. Modified food starch is essential to, and it exemplifies the world of processed food. Powdered eggs and powdered cheese must flow when poured without caking, and it should also dissolve smoothly, reaching the perfect thickness when mixed with water. Also, we want frozen foods which must retain their texture and consistency and also thaw without dripping water. Instant puddings must gel without cooking. Oil-based flavorants must be prevented from floating to the top of soft drinks. Nuggets and breading must hold together without crumbling. And once the perfect texture, viscosity and uniformity is achieved, the product must stay that way unaltered for weeks. All of these things are accomplished with the use of modified food starches. Modified food starches are also useful to food manufacturers in adding bulk to the food. It can be used as filler to increase the volume and mass of a product, while reducing the use of more expensive ingredients like meat in products like meat analogs. Starch is modified to hold moisture, that is also used as a fat replacement. Its gluey texture gives the feel of fat and keeps low fat processed meat from getting dried. When starch is modified, the molecules are actually chemically engineered to a new structure that gives the desired property. Some starch is modified just to withstand processing during machinery operations. Enzymatic modification of starch on an industrial scale is mainly based on the use of starch hydrolyzing enzymes such as alpha amylase, pullulanase and glucoamylase. Example, amylomaltase treated potato starch, which showed thermoreversible gelation at concentration of around 3% weight by volume or more, thus making it comparable to gelatin, and thus we can say it can be a cheaper alternative to gelatin and definitely a plant source which we can use in place of gelatin, which is a animal source and may not be applied to many vegetarian food products. Now talking about enzyme modified proteins, the functional properties of proteins are impaired near their isoelectric point. Okay, so most acidic foods are reaching the isoelectric point of the enzymes, and we want to use enzymes in these acidic foods, it becomes a real challenging situation. So enzymatic modification of food proteins by controlled proteolysis can actually enhance their functional properties over a wide pH range and other processing conditions. So we can modify proteins using enzyme and can be used to produce hypoallergic product by hydrolyzing milk proteins, modification of viscosity or emulsifying properties of ingredients to create new texture, to suppress bitter taste. As I told you earlier that sometimes bitter peptides are produced during proteolytic action. And to remove these bitter peptides, we need certain enzyme interventions which can break down these peptides and form non-bitter peptides. So, this can actually suppress the bitter taste, and it can also be applied to obtain clean membranes in membrane processing equipments. Now, talking about enzyme modified egg products, eggs are very good emulsifiers, we all know that, and are used as thickening agents also. It is because of their emulsification property that they are very much useful in many products. However, we also know that egg yolk is sensitive to high temperatures and they begin to coagulate, leading to loss in emulsification property. So, they completely lose their properties, and after heat treatment they cannot be used in the product. So, now modified egg yolks, they refer to egg yolks to which enzymes like phospholipase or they may be from animal source like from pig, or this phospholipase from microbial source like Aspergillus niger, they can be added as emulsifiers. Now, modified egg yolk has better heat resistant property, and thus we can pasteurize products containing modified egg yolks which otherwise would not have been possible. Modified egg yolks also have improved viscosity, which is essential for certain food industry applications, example for manufacturing of mayonnaise or egg based mayonnaises. When we talk about enzyme modified ingredients, we cannot forget our enzyme modified cheeses. Now, cheese flavoring has become so common that we can see in every fast food products or even in snack foods, cheese flavor has become a very common occurrence. Cheese is actually a very expensive food product. Converting them into a flavor ingredient can increase the actual cost of production of these products. So, enzyme modified cheeses can be applied here as a cheaper alternative to cheese as such, and they can have a greater tone of flavor as compared to a normal ripened cheeses. Enzyme modified cheeses are actual concentrated cheese flavors that are used to standardize cheese flavor in applications or to boost flavor in applications where the amount of cheese that can be used may be limited. So, when we want to use ripened cheese in the product as such to get the flavor, the amount of cheese required will be high. So, enzyme modified cheeses will have a greater flavor tone and lesser quantity may be required to get the similar cheesy flavor of the food. So, it is made from special blends of natural cheeses with added lipases and other natural food grade enzymes. Flavor concentration of 10 to 20 fold as high as that of the ripened cheeses gets developed in 1 to 3 days. Enzyme modified cheeses are generally added to foods at the level of only 0.1 to maximum 2%, although they can be used at the level of 5% of the formulation to add dairy or cheesy notes to foods and also to reduce the requirement for aged cheese in many food formulations. So, now let us conclude what we have learnt. So, a large number of newer enzymes we see and the many enzyme processes we see which are introduced during past 30 years. The data show that hydrolases, lyases and oxidoreductases are used in 2/3 of all processes, while only about 1% of the about 3000 known enzymes are used in larger amounts for enzyme technological and therapeutic purposes. During past 10 years, the three-dimensional structures and detailed mechanisms of the reactions that they catalyze have been determined, and for many of the enzymes are seen to be important in enzyme technology. Now, the fields with large amounts of enzymes will be required in future in order to realize more sustainable new enzyme processes to meet human needs include the production of optically pure therapeutics and fine chemicals, the synthesis of antibiotics, paper production or recycling to reduce waste and energy consumption, the regio and stereo selective synthesis of oligosaccharides for food and pharmaceutical purposes, the selective glycosylation of peptides, proteins and other drugs, as well as in the field of environmental biotechnology. So, anticipating the swelling market demand, number of new enzyme processes is again we expect to increase further during the next few decades. The rational and the sustainable design of these processes and the improvement of existing processes requires interdisciplinary cooperation of biochemists, micro and molecular biologists and biochemical engineers. The biochemist must determine the mechanism and properties of the catalyzed processes. So, you have seen a very good module where we have seen different processes for development of enzymes to improve the quality of enzymes and thus to improve the quality of food products. We also envisage further use of these processes, especially like genetic engineering in the field of biotechnology, which is sometimes we say people debate over its like safety aspects and also its usage, but it will never stop producing good enzymes, modified enzymes, which can actually give us miraculous results in producing good quality food products. Let us look forward to a future where we need more such enzyme modified ingredients, also processes which will improve the enzymes and give us better food products day by day with reduction in cost and improvement in product quality. Thank you.